boys and girls. Woo! We are halfway through. We are at Wednesday yet again. It almost feels like Groundhog Day. We are at Hump Day. We are halfway through the work week, which means what, boys and girls? Yes, that's right. We're that much closer to the weekend and indie wrestling. Woo, baby. Look at who we got tonight. This is Stirring the Pot with Don Kincaid and my very special guest, Zack Ramses. Sir, thank you so much for spending some time with us, and welcome to the show, my man.
Listen, yeah, Zack Ramses is a busy man, but I am happy to set some time aside for people who are invested in the wonderful sport that we know as professional wrestling, especially someone such as yourself who has been present at many great events that I've been a part of personally and beyond that. So happy to take the time.
I appreciate those words, my friend, because what it's turned out to from where it started, with all of these friendships and relationships and networking and whatnot with the talent that I've created over the past few years here, 4 or 5 years. Wow, love all of it, would never change a minute of it. And you know what? I'm just going to kind of start right there because we do speak about this a lot on the show, but I like to get the talent's view of this. Um, we go as fans to get away. It's an escape for us. That's why we go to these things. That's why you go to football games or whatever whatever your hobby is. That's why you do these things.
Yeah.
It's to get away from the work week. It's to get away from the bills and the bullshit or a fight you might have had with a spouse or a family member or something. You walk through those doors at wrestling, my friend. And for me personally, it's not even the doorway. As soon as I get to said address and I pull in that parking lot, everything just dissipates and wrestling is in front of me and I forget shit for like a few hours. Is it the same way with yourself and the talent? Because we're not behind those doors. We're not an athlete or a performer. So does it feel the same way to the talent, my friend?
It depends on who you are. Obviously, I can only speak for myself ultimately, but it's for myself, it's just an incredible opportunity where for someone like Zack Ramses, I come from an athletic background. I played college at the University of Delaware, college football, I should say. And so I have this athletic part of me that I've always invested in, and so the continued ability for me to pay off that investment and use my body in a way that I can thrive in, combined with my passion for the sport of pro wrestling, be able to not only give into that but take from it too, in multiple capacities, and being able to be someone that people can either enjoy or hate depending upon the day, and uh, bring some sort of just entertainment to me. All those pieces are what I take out of it. Um, does that necessarily lead to me kind of closing out everything else? No. There's some days where what's going on in my life, it's overwhelming, or there's things that's a lot, but it's an opportunity for me to say, you know what, while this is still here, let me, maybe some of this frustration, let me turn this into what I'm doing in the ring. Or hey, if something's great, I'm going to just explode in that enjoyment and that excitement in when I go through that curtain. So it's a combination of wanting to continue to express those different facets of my life, and take and give, but also combine who I am into that.
Right. I can't. That's a very unique answer than anyone I've ever heard, and that's why I like to maybe repeat some of the topics on this show because, especially talking and boys and girls, this is the very first time we've actually really got to sit down and talk to Mr. Ramses. I've never sat down with him before. I may have asked him for a picture real quick, but I was in his bubble, I was in his zone, and I didn't want to f anything up, especially my bodily harm. So I made it real quick, and then I left. You know.
Smart.
But anywho, this is the first time, so we're getting to know Mr. Ramses. I don't know if you are aware of Mr. Ramses, so if you don't know, look him up. We'll get to those deets at the tail end. That's what we like to do. But I have to give you boys and girls a million% credit and just everything else, because we as fans, when we go to wrestling, and we're not there to perform in a live TV capacity every single time you walk through that curtain. We're there, as the crowd, as the fan base. But my point being is taking this real life stuff with you on the road, going through those curtains. And I know it's hard sometimes to shut it off because some of that real life stuff is a lot more traumatizing than other things are. But going through that curtain, walking down that ramp, and turning on that persona, that character, that gimmick, however you want to put it, and really just giving us yourself in that moment. I don't know how you guys and girls do it, my man, because sometimes I do go to these shows and it does certain things may stay with me in my real life stuff for those few hours because it is a little more traumatizing. But you guys are there to perform and have all of that baggage on top of inside your head while you're trying to perform. I applaud every single one of you for doing that. Taking on real life and performance and having to work right in front of a live crowd.
To the point again, some days it's easier than others, but that's why in my answer I said, yeah, it's learning how to cope with those emotions and those thoughts. And if I can't get rid of them, if I can't put them aside, well, hell, I may as well use this to maximize what I'm doing here. Because to the point, you and many other great fans out there, you pay your hard-earned cash to come see what we do. And if I give you any less than what I'm best able to provide, then shame on me.
And let's be honest, that's just a little bit more aggression you could take out on your opponent. I mean,
And I do that quite often, so I don't mind.
Because boys and girls, for you, again, we're just learning. How tall is one, Mr. Ramses? If you could share with us, the fans.
6'9", 6'9". So
Okay.
for most people.
I'm like 5'10", so 6'9" is like a skyscraper, a twin tower, if you will. So 6'9", but you're a slender 6'9". You can do athletic stuff as a bigger wrestler, performer, athlete.
Yeah.
And I can appreciate seeing that as a fan. And there's a couple things that grasped me onto your character. Your look. When you come through that curtain, you tell us if, are we supposed to boo you? Are we supposed to cheer you? Not all wrestlers can present such communication, coming through that curtain. I've never met you before, but when I first did, I knew to boo you because you said so. Pretty much in your character, in your presentation. And you did that very well. You look good. You came through the curtain and told me what to do, which I did. Very loudly and proudly, if you didn't know.
Oh, I heard very clearly.
And when I say you look good, because you look as a professional wrestler. You don't come out half-assed. You don't come off in like cut off shorts and a tank top, or you know what I'm saying. You come out to do it. You're taking your profession and you're taking it seriously. And also the character itself. Once you got into the ring and you're doing your thing, I'm like, wow, this dude can do some stuff for a bigger guy. You're going against one of my faves of all time, Ryan Frost. I've seen him since day one. And I was to his home promotion, and you kind of got the win there. But anyways,
What I think.
My whole reasoning of this kind of banter right now is a big guy who's athletic, a big guy who looks good, professional, a big guy who can communicate and tell us that he's a bad guy without telling us, and who's decent in the ring. All of those things combined. We've got a professional wrestler, my friends. That's what a professional wrestler is. And that dance that we do, you seem to enjoy it very well. The booing, the cheering, that dance of fan wrestler. Let's talk about that, because not all guys and girls can really grab it as a tool and run with it and utilize it in what they're doing inside that ring, and even their entrances, their exits, even on Facebook and whatnot, and continuing the banter outside the ring. Yeah. Talk to us about grasping onto the fans. Was it earlier in your career? Was it at a certain point? Did it click? At what vantage point do you feel that you connected with the fans?
So for me, I always felt that fan interaction was going to be a massive part of who Zack Ramses was, and that stems to my time as a professional wrestling fan. I'm not one of those guys who Granted, I come from the collegiate background, I come from the athletic background. Some guys who come from that area, they come into because they're like, I'm an athlete, let me try this. I've always loved professional wrestling. It was not new to me. My love of wrestling preceded my delving into the realm of football. It's always been a important part of who I was, and as that was part of who I was growing up, I went to shows. I was that fan who would be there, whether it was the big WWE shows or smaller independent shows. I craved that interaction. I wanted that wrestler to know I thought they were the pits, or I hated them, whatever it was, or just that moment of recognition where it's like, you heard me. I said what I said. You wanted that because that wrestling is so unique in the sense that you're live face to face with the people who are competing, but it's not Broadway where if you yell at Lin Manuel Miranda on stage during Hamilton, he's not going to stop and say anything to you. And conversely, you yell something at whoever it may be, Patrick Mahomes on a football game, he may respond to you, but it ultimately doesn't matter because he's going to do what he's doing. It doesn't impact what's happening. Wrestling, the fans are as much a part of what we do as we the competitors are, and so from being on both ends, I appreciate that. I respect it, and I know how much that means, especially not to take away from you, my good sir here, but especially to the young fans, the kids. Not that you're not a young spry fella, but those those kids there, they'll remember if I pick out that 5-year-old boy in the second row and I interact with him, he's going to remember who Zack Ramses was. He might not remember my name exactly. He might not remember every spot, every moment in the match, but he's going to remember the fact that I saw him say something to me, and it mattered. And so that's what we do. That's what's so special about independent wrestling specifically. And so to me, coming from that fan history into the ring, I knew it was something that mattered. And then when I got into the ring, I learned how this business works. I'm like, it makes it fun. If I heard you hooting and hollering in the front row, throwing barbs at me, bringing signs, if I ignored that, geez, what the wrestling itself is fun, but that getting to feed off of you and the other fans, that's just the icing on the cake. How could I pass that up? That's a hyena looking at a carcass sitting in the middle of the Sahara and just turning away. Why wouldn't I do it? So it's to me it's so integral to what we do.
Wow, that analogy, I can, I wouldn't think of it that way, but you have, and you've presented it in such manner, and it's very true because we both at the same time, the fan base and athlete at the same, and that's what's again, that's another thing that's magical about wrestling, my man, is you come through the doorway. We've never seen you before, but yet some of the fans had signs made up ready to piss you off.
True.
I was ready right there to boo you because, and again, those guys are called legit the Frost Force. I mean, it's a group of guys, and I'm part of the Frost Force. And I mean, we're there to boo the piss out of this guy who's coming into Ryan Frost's hometown, home base, home promotion. We've never seen you before. We may have looked you up on the tube to check you out or seen what's going on, but that's about it. But we're coming ready with our fandom, and you're coming ready with your professionalism and your character and your persona, and you're coming through that door ready. And at the same time, some magic shit happens, my man. And you come in, the signs go up, we start our thing, your attitude goes up, and everything that wrestling is supposed to be, my friend. It's not about swearing at the talent. It's not about knowing everything, what goes on in the business and using terminology. It's not about all of this crazy modern shit that's going on. And I'm not trying to get on some soapbox, believe me, because I'm a fan through and through from many eras. But my goodness, that is the magic of wrestling. Mr. Ramsey's coming through, never met us. We've never met him. And shit just happened the way it's supposed to happen in wrestling.
No doubt. No doubt. That's when you can feel it. When everyone's having a good time, everyone's invested. And again, I may have never seen you again. You may have never seen me again. And that would have been it. But in that moment, in the parameter of that ring, in that arena on that day, we had something going on that was organic and just based upon your love of Ryan Frost and my job of having to kick his ass. And that was it. That was all you needed. Great.
Characters, storyline. We've never met you yet. Leading up to training day 32, I believe it was. 32, 31?
It might have been 31.
31. So leading up to that, seeing the media, and this is a very important aspect of this though, seeing the media that Test of Strength was putting out. We never knew of you. But once it was announced, I'm checking you out on the gram because that's how they tag the talent, is they take their gram handles and put it on Facebook.
Yep.
So I seen that. I went right to the gram handle. I followed. I'm like, okay, we'll check this guy. Oh, holy shit. Wow, look at this dude. Wait, who's he fighting? Test of Strength didn't tell us yet. But then all of a sudden, they tell us who you're fighting. We're like, Ryan Frost. Oh, fuck this guy. You know what I'm saying? So it kind of started the fan wrestler dance. It started right at that moment, and we've never even walked through those doors yet.
And that's our job. First of all, you bet on the wrong horse. That's on you. But to that point, it's our job to make you care ahead of the show. And it's not, Jim Crockett. We don't have local television to run promos and ads on. We got to use social media because that's what we do have. And so that's one of my personal frustrations with the modern indie scene, where a lot of guys don't do that, or they don't do it well, in my opinion. And that's not to knock anyone, because it's not even a thing of like, he could have done this, he could have, cut a better promo, or he should have had this backdrop or said this or that. That's not my issue. It's a fact of doing or not. And most people do not. And that's my thing, where it's like, to your point, I could have came into Test of Strength the first time I debuted there in February, and I could have just shown up and wrestled, and nothing would have changed. I would have had in the sense that I would have had a match, and none of that was dependent upon any work I put in. However, for me, I started figuring out how I was going to address my opponent through the work that myself and Ryan Frost did, where we both cut promos on each other. We spoke a bit ahead of it. We had an enthusiasm for the art and what we were going to do in that ring. And then the fans were able to see that, buy into it, and all of a sudden you had something that people could sink their teeth into before they even walk in the door. And that doesn't take much effort. It just takes care. It takes passion. It takes a desire to make what you do matter. And I think a lot of independent wrestlers either think that what they do doesn't matter, or they don't want to put the effort in. And to me, shame on you for both parts, because if you don't believe what you're doing matters, then why the hell should anyone else care? But beyond that, if you don't want to put the effort into promoting your match, why should the fans put the effort into cheering for you or booing you or even giving a shit at all about what you're doing when you're in there? It goes both ways. And so, again, if you check me out on social media, which again, I'm sure I'll plug all this later again anyway, especially my Instagram and all that kind of stuff at Zack Ramses, every week I'm wrestling, you will see a promo from me, because I will let you know. And again, you might not even follow me before the show, but if after the show you go and see who I am, you follow me, I'm talking about the show I'm at. I'm talking about who I'm wrestling that week. And even if I don't know who I'm wrestling, I'm talking about where I'm going. I am making what is happening that weekend matter. So the next time I come there, you damn well better follow Zack Ramses, because I'm going to talk about what's happening here. And if you want to be involved and you want to see that this match is something that is relevant, you better follow, because I'm going to give you something that matters. I guarantee you that every single time I step in the ring, because I care and I want you to care. And that should be the base level for any person in this profession.
With that statement, I could talk to you for about another 3 hours just on that topic alone, because second off, I try to make every episode separate with the title just to give it their own little flavor. Yeah. You made a quick statement, and within that statement, an enthusiastic passion for the art. Oh my God, I love that. That's such a fantastic line. That's the title of this episode.
There you go. Roll credits.
And and then I want to also say within that statement, without what Ryan Frost said in his promo, and boys and girls, and this is just not to the fans, this is to anybody. And I know I don't have a gigantic reach. I know I have a decent number of followers, but that's not the amount of views that I get on my videos. It's just a YouTube world. It is for me anyway, specifically. Yeah. If any upcoming talent is watching Mr. Ramses on Stirring the Pot right now, and I am not preaching like I am some kind of athlete or upcoming talent, or I know what the F I'm talking about, but what he just spoke upon between Ryan cutting a promo less than 2 minutes, Mr. Ramses responding in a promo less than 2 minutes, Test of Strength putting out Mr. Ramses' picture, and hey, he's going against one of our boys, Ryan Frost. Two big dudes are getting in the ring. They both cut promos. They told a story probably about a week or so in advance before the event actually happened. They told us the story before we got there. That's what you want to do in wrestling as a performer, wrestler, athlete. And I know I kind of use those three words and almost in the same word, because that's what you guys and girls are. So anybody that's listening to this, that's looking to become a wrestler, or that's enthusiastic about being a wrestler, or that's in the midst right now, cut a damn promo, tell a story. It does not take long at all. And the most important part about it, besides caring, we get to see your character. That's what we want to see. How do we learn your character if you don't present us your character? Mr. Ramses, Mr. Frost, hats off to you for doing what you're supposed to be doing. Thank you so much. You took us on a ride. We got the training day. We had a blast. We made separate ways, yes, but we still remember it. And here we are talking about it. What? Another month and a half, 2 months down the road.
Yeah, no, again, to me, you hit the nail on the head where your time when you get to speak in any capacity, whether that's on social media, in the ring, in the venue, or anywhere in between, that's your time to establish your character. And that's something that I think people undervalue, because that you have your character in the ring, but when you're in the ring, obviously fans are looking at the action, or looking at the physical nature of what you're doing. And that's obviously the crux of it. It's a sport. I always say that this is a sport, and so the athleticism and the physical nature are going to be at the forefront. Your character is what elevates what you do. It's what makes what you do matter, and what brings everything together. But to that point, your character is just that. It elevates what you're doing in the ring. But for people to know what your character is, it's kind of hard to just purely build it in the ring. You need to establish it elsewhere. And so, as you said, when I'm cutting the promo for a match, that's where I'm telling you, hey, this is what Zakk Ramses is. This is what he brings to the table, between facials, how I speak, how I dress, how the setting, all that kind of stuff. And if you don't take that opportunity, there are so many guys who they walk into a building, I'm like, what is your character? Do you have a character? And if it is something definable, I can't tell.
Right.
That's a problem. If I can't tell, and I'm in the business, and I'm surrounded by wrestlers every day, then how's someone who, hey, I'm coming with my buddy, tickets are $20. He said to come, let's have a good time. I'm here. I'm not really invested. How are you going to catch someone by if I'm in the business and I don't know who you are? And to your point again, I'm not trying to pat myself on the back in any of this, and that may come off as what I'm doing here. And if so, tough shit. I'm just trying to say how I feel it. But what I'm saying is, when I come through the curtain, my goal is, by the time I get to the ring, I do want people to know what Zakk Ramses is on this day. And if by the time I get there, if hey, this guy's a dick, I don't like him. I hope I am able to swear here and there.
Yeah, we're fine. Yes, we're fine.
If I'm supposed to be an asshole, I want you to know I'm an asshole. If I'm someone that you're supposed to be supporting, I want to give you that vibe of, hey, let's go. We're here to kick ass and take names. But there's a difference here. That's my job to establish that. I help push that along by what I do on social media, what I do in my promos, how I carry myself. But it's my job to establish that. I can't rely on you to figure that out purely based upon how I wrestle in my match. That's part of it, but I build up what I do in that match by that character, because so many guys do the same things in the ring anyway. So if everyone's doing the same thing, how are we supposed to know whose character's what and what's going on and what the story is? That needs to be established, because that matters. And to me, again, that's key, and that's what made me love wrestling. Characters mean something.
Absolutely, because it's something that I repeat: the character, the storyline, your presentation, and some in-ring ability. Those four things, and I mean, I'm sure there's many other things we could speak upon, but just give me those four things. As a fan, you got me. And that's what happened at Test of Strength.
Yeah.
Never seen Mr. Ramses. Now we're here, SVP. But that's what we're talking about, though. And since I did take a short break at Christmas time, took a few months off, we come back and we're doing 20 interviews in 20 days. Well, technically not in like consecutive, because we're taking the weekends off, but like legit 20 interviews in 20 days.
Impressive.
And I believe this is number 12 or 13, I want to say. We're in a home stretch here. We got until next Friday. But we've been talking a lot about connection with the fan and the athlete. And I've always stressed that in my other interviews, but coming back, it just seems to be a very big topic in the interviews as of late. And same thing here with Mr. Ramses, establishing your character, giving us something to bite on and gnaw on just a little bit before the show starts. And I know I mentioned actually a timeline I think about a week previous of training day. Another point I wanted to make is you can make all the promos you want for all of the shows that you're doing. This is, again, this is from a fan's perspective, my friends. Don't put them out 3 weeks in advance, because in another 3 weeks when the show happens, we kind of forgot about that promo. You know what I'm saying? So if your opponent responds on said week of the event, I gotta kind of roll back and creep on your page and try to find that promo, or remember maybe a couple keywords. I can find it in a search bar.
Yep.
But the point being is I gotta go back and try to find on what you said. So again, me as a fan, I like when the talent are doing it the week of the event, so it's still fresh and we can work upon that leading up to the Friday, Saturday, or Sunday show. That's just my opinion. Can you feel that, my friend?
I personally do agree. I usually, on a normal week, I try to get my promos out within 3 days of the show. I think that's enough time to let it sit out there. Maybe I'll do a Tuesday or Wednesday. I'll post it, whatever it may be. Gives time for people to respond if they choose to. And if not, it gives people time to, if you're coming to the show, you can find it circulates through your promotion should be reposting it, whatever it may be. Use that time to get invested. However, I know I appreciate the other approach where I've had promoters tell me, like, we like to have our promos out 2 or 3 weeks in advance, because a lot of people will make a decision on whether they're going to come to a show about 2 weeks before, and I get that, do.
Okay.
But I agree with the sentiment that the promos get lost in the shuffle in that way, because all of a sudden, if you're a casual person who's just kind of, you follow the handle, but you're not sure if you're going to go to the show, it might be a day of decision. If I see a promo 3 weeks ago, will I remember it? I don't know. Will it resonate with me? Maybe. I mean, if it's a good promo, hopefully. But to me, I'm of the mindset of, it should be week of. So it's like, hey, I saw a promo. You know what? Let's go Saturday. Like, there's no, it's game time. This is what we got. Let's roll. And so it's insight in mind. I'm ready to see what happens this weekend now. So I do agree with that, but I do appreciate the other approaches.
Yeah, the flip side. Absolutely. I can feel that. I can definitely feel that. I'd like to talk about the character, Zack Ramses himself, because boys and girls, we don't even know if that's a character. Could be his government name, could not be. I don't know. We are pulling the curtain back, but we just don't know how far sometimes we can really shuffle that bad boy aside.
Yeah.
I want to read this very correctly because I did not say your moniker, your prefix to your name, if you will, because I had no fucking clue how to say it. So I did the old Google. That's it. Are you kidding me? This is episode 317. This is the first time I've ever researched anything. Holy shit. There's a moniker before Mr. Zack Ramses' name. And let me, before I get into this, let me talk about real quick. Training day, Mr. Ramses comes through the door. We're booing him. Joey G and company, they're doing the signs, and we're having a lot of fun. Now, I'm calling them all sorts of last names because I kind of forgot how it was actually pronounced. I heard it, but then I forgot. So I was just making up last names. Man, that was a lot of fun. These are the things that we do, though. Kind of feed off of whatever we can on the fly, on the cuff, just like we're doing right now, my man. And just having those kind of memories and moments kind of capsulated right there. And I'll always remember that kind of stuff because that's what really tickles me as a fan. And yes, I'm a young, spry 51. Thank you so much. But that's what tickles me as a fan and gives me those little stamps that stay in my mind forever. It's not the 450 outside of the ring and you landed on somebody and you killed 3 guys or you hurt yourself. It's those little things that just happen. They don't have to even be a move. It could be just a little communicado like that. It could be you and the referee doing something that will stick with me. It's always these little things. It's, to be honest, personally, as a fan, it's usually never, the move sets. I mean, I appreciate that's why we're there, but I mean, those are the things that, the storylines. That's why I'm there. I love the stories. But back to the prefix, if you will. Let's see. Plural, literally, all right. Now, it's, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, Miasma?
That is correct. There's multiple pronunciations, but miasma, however you want to say it, absolutely. It's a Greek term, so, a little leeway with how you say it.
Okay, so his full name is the Miasma Zack Ramses.
Correct.
So as I look this thing up, you have looked this up, correct?
Yes. There's multiple so the one that most readily comes up is usually not the right one, and that's okay. That's fun.
Well, that's where we're starting. Because, dude, I popped. I go, are you shitting me? This is his moniker? And I did not see the other definition because it was kind of hidden. I had to click another thing. So I literally popped when I read the first definition that comes up for miasma. And boys and girls, please take this ride with me. It is a noun or plural noun, miasmas. A highly unpleasant or unhealthy smell or vapor. And I'm like, okay, I'm thinking back. I don't remember smelling Mr. Ramses. This cannot be his moniker's meaning. There is no effing way. Yeah. And he's a big dude. He personifies, anger, violence. I'm going to hurt you. So there is no way that could be it. Yeah. So I'm like, wow, okay. So I look underneath that, and it was more of a sentence than anything, but I'm just going to read it for the hell of it. A miasma of stale alcohol hung around him like marsh gas. Oh, God, used in a sentence, son of a bitch. So I'm like, I've got to bring this up. Oh, God, I think I broke a rib from laughing so much. That was just freaking hilarious. And then we go over here. An oppressive or unpleasant atmosphere which surrounds or emanates from something. So that kind of seems a little more where we're going here with Zack Ramses, and I'm going to pick not oppressive, but unpleasant atmosphere, right? Unpleasant atmosphere. Is that where we're running with this moniker, my friend?
Yes. So a miasma, to that point, it's typically defined in medical or atmospheric senses many times in regards to disease. And so, if the most prevalent or the most well known example of a miasma is the Black Plague, the bubonic plague, Black Death, where it consumed and just just pressed down and destroyed everything. And the more you fight against it, the worse it gets. It just envelops everything around you. And I first found it through the term through music. I had there's a song from the band Ghost, who they're a big gothic rock band out there right now.
I know of Ghost. I know of Ghost.
I'm a huge fan. On their 2018 record, Perkel, they have an instrumental track in their side A that's called Miasma. And again, it's instrumental. There's no lyrics to it. I love the song. But I remember, really vibing with the record when it came out, and I was like, what does this mean actually? Because I don't know. And the record itself is, it's a doom type of vibe of talking about the dark ages and the plague and death and all kind of stuff. So I looked into it. I saw what the miasma was in reference to the plague itself. I was like, this makes sense. And the term always stuck with me because, to the point, it's an interesting term, not one you typically hear, you typically come about. And so when Zack Ramses was born, per se, I thought about, I'm like, I've always liked wrestlers with a little nickname or moniker, Nature Boy, Macho Man, whatever it may be. I always liked that. And so going through ideas, miasma came back, or miasma came back, however you want to say it. I was like, this works for who I am.
Mm-hmm.
Big, hulking monster that's going to just beat on you and just consume everything around you. And just, you can't escape it. It's everywhere. And it's just this powerful, unexplainable mess. And you try to go to work against it, but there's only one way this goes. You can't escape once you're inside. And so I was like, this works. And my hope was that, again, the word would stick with people, because most people don't know what it means. So they'll hear it, and either they don't remember the exact term, or they don't know how it's spelled exactly. The word stands out, and then it implores you to go look into it and do some research. And then you'll be like, wait, what? And all of a sudden, Zack Ramses is on your mind. To me, that's my job. One way or another, if you're sitting at home after a show and you're looking up what miasma is, I did my job. Because for whatever reason, it might just be pure curiosity or wanting to expand your vocabulary. For whatever reason, you want to know, what the heck is that? And so, and then once you figure out what it actually is, it's like, all right, it fits within the confines of what he presents. Because how many bruisers or the fighter, there's so many, the great one, the one and only. We've heard a lot of these same cliche type of names in wrestling for a million years. I'm like, this is different. No one's gonna take it. No one's taking it before.
That's for sure.
It's mine. And I build that brand as I go forward, and the more I expand, the more people come to know it, and then like anything else, So again, and it's not the same, of course, but to me, it's like, it's in the vein of the Nature Boy, where it's like, why is Ric Flair or Buddy Rogers originally? Why were they the Nature Boy? It's like, nothing to do with nature. It's not like apparently it's not like they were defined by the nickname. So again, the miasma, it's kind of an umbrella statement of kind of who I am, but it's just it kind of helps define me. Again, accentuates the character that we spoke about before. But that's just it's something that helps you to establish the brand.
A marketing tool as well, because now, like you're saying, our interests are piqued. Now we want to go see what's good, and then we're going to go back maybe and look maybe at your face page and look at the profile picture and be like, you know what, that makes sense now. So it's actually like a marketing tool, if you will, for your brand, because who the hell is going to market you? You. That's the thing, man. Nobody else is marketing Zack Ramses but Zack Ramses. Talk to us about the rest of the name, Zack Ramses. This is your government name. Is this something that's you kind of put together? Is there a backstory to it? Was there some support? Because not all the time you find these names or characters. Sometimes it's a little help from your buddies at work or whatever. So tell us about Zack Ramses.
So Zack Ramses, it took a little time for me to come about. No, it is not. I was not born in the Ramses house.
Okay.
Point, for me, I started on the independent scene as James Ramison.
Oh.
Was a name that, it stemmed from some reality and some inspiration from my brother. Well, it was fine. First getting on the scene, I forget who said it. It's escaping me now, but someone's like, "Listen, don't worry too much about your name when you first start," because he's like, most people's names will change. This is okay. You're not married to what you start with. So it was what came about. It was again kind of an ode to my older brother, et cetera, et cetera. And so it kind of came to be. But last time I was like, I need something that screams me more, and that screams you're not gonna forget this guy because it's a unique name. James Ramison, you might go to a hotel and James Ramison might be sitting at the front desk, and when I first made it, I was like, "This is cool." As time went on, I'm like, "This isn't memorable." So I went back to the well, and so I settled upon Zack Ramses because it was inspired on two fronts. Um, First of all, as you can literally see behind me, I'm a fan of the Black Label Society. For those familiar, they are a heavy metal band. Is fronted by and created by the infamous Zakk Wylde. He is a former lead guitarist for Ozzy Osbourne. Ozzy kind of brought him to fame in the late '80s. Again, I'm a huge Ozzy fan.
Miracle Man, dude, that
Rest for the Wicked, underrated as hell. Miracle Man, underrated single. That whole first album with him does not get enough credit when it should. But
for sure.
Yeah, so Zack is king. Love Zack. He created Black Label Society. I always again love him, love his work, and Black Label, Ozzy, Pride and Glory, his solo work, anything he's done, I'm a fan of. Zack Sabbath too, and they may just be straight up Black Sabbath covers, but they're awesome. To the point, he's memorable for a lot of reasons, but his name stands out, and that's credit to Ozzy and Sharon and the Ozzy camp because they helped him come up with that. But a reason that stood out to me is that you meet lots of Zach, you meet lots of Zack, Zakk. That's a little different. It's got a little bit of an edge, a punch, an aggressive side to it, and I always liked that. And so in homage to the mighty Zakk Wylde, but also because of who I am as a performer, I'm like, if I'm going first name, last name, I need a first name with some punch. That's a little like, all right, this guy's got a little a knife edge to him. So I like Zakk, and we respect the greats around here. So that comes from there, and then Ramses, with my character, I try to exude power, try to exude dominance and an air of control. And so to me, what position in history has always given that edge? Well, that'd be a king, that'd be a leader, that'd be a dominant leader at that. And so go into the depths of my mind and my appreciation of history. I come upon ancient Egypt. I settle upon the lineage of pharaohs, and we have a King Ramses or two along the way. And so the most famous is King Ramses II. And so to me, I was like, you know what? I like this. I like the Ramses moniker. Again, power, wealth, destruction, whatever you wanted, the pharaoh got. And so I'm like, though I do not come from an Egyptian background, the aura that comes with the Ramses name, I'm like, that combined with Zakk, we got something here. We're cooking. And again, it's memorable to me. It stands out. It's not your typical indie name. It fits in rock and roll, and that works for me. So I got those pieces. I'm like, you know what? Miasma, Zack Ramses, I can fuck with that. I can work with that. So, and thus, you put a name to the face, and I think that similar to our earlier conversation, your character should define your name. I could be named, Billy Bob Thornton, and in theory, I'm the same. I just have a
Right.
worse name, but my character is my character. To me, my name builds up is built upon my character, but they work together. I think it all comes into one solid package.
How long before you made that name change? Because uh, we haven't even touched upon how long have you been in the business, my man?
I have been wrestling for about 3 years at this point.
Okay.
Yeah, started
From
2019.
when you were Jason to Zack, where are you at a timeline in your career?
So I switched over from James Ramses to Zack Ramses in the beginning of 2021, January 2021.
Okay.
That jump. For me, I, you know, my path is different from a lot of guys in the sense that I started in 2019, fresh out of college. Again, coming from that college football life, I spent 5 years at the University of Delaware playing ball. Play Division I football, FCS, Colonial Athletic Conference. Good competitive football, and I come out of that, and I knew as soon as my time was ending in football, I'm like, this has been fun. It got me in my education, and that's great. But I always knew wrestling was next. I knew that was my goal, especially while I was in my physical prime of, I trained my body and learned how to build a physical specimen in college football. So I'm like,
Mhm.
take that knowledge, take that establishment, let's translate over to professional wrestling. So I jumped into wrestling right out of college as soon as I could. I lost weight because I was a 320-pound offensive tackle, and I was like, I
Wow.
don't need to be that heavy anymore in wrestling.
Holy shit.
Yeah, my knees didn't want to be that anymore. And for my longevity, it made sense. And I was like, for me to be what I want to be in the ring, I know I want to be a little more nimble and free to kind of maximize my athleticism.
Mhm.
So I make that jump, train, all that stuff, and I start working. But I was fortunate because of my college background that I was able to get in touch with the WWE early on. They were because they, as is known throughout the business at this point and amongst fans, their archetype wrestler to bring in nowadays is collegiate, professional athlete background, because they know you're coachable, they know you're an athlete, and they think they can build you up from there. And so with that history I had, there was an instant connection there. And so within that, the advice I was given from my trainers was learn, take everything in, get some reps where you can, but we don't want to have you running out crazy, wild, and free because we don't want you to develop bad habits before you go down there because WWE is very specific with what they want, especially from their new talent, the talent that they want to structure how they feel. And so I learned a lot. I learned from a lot of great people. Um, and then I was supposed to have a tryout in March of 2020. Flew down to Orlando on March 11th, did all of our medical stuff, and that night we went to a hotel room. NBA shut down, March Madness was shut down. The next morning we show up to do promos to start the tryout, and William Regal and Canyon Seaman and all the other executives come out. They're like, "Hey everyone, thanks for coming out, but you're going home." So we were all sent home. The pandemic began. And so it was just a wait and see thing. At that time, we're like, oh, this will blow over in a few weeks. We'll bring it back probably in like April. Obviously, didn't happen. Uh, Inevitably, I did receive an opportunity to actually have a tryout in November of that year. I flew back down,
Okay.
tryout with several of the men that you see on NXT 2.0 right now. Braun Breaker, Tony D'Angelo, oh boy, I forget his name in NXT right now. I know him as Patrick Belton, Trick Williams. I might be messing it up, but
Yeah.
anyway,
Trick
with Carmelo Hayes.
yeah, Carmelo Hayes.
Yeah,
I always want to call him I don't want to get monetized from Uncle Vince, so I don't want to say his
yeah.
OG name.
We were going to try with a lot of those guys. Had an opportunity at this time. At that point, it just wasn't in the cards. And so when that phase was done, I was like, all right, I no longer need to be wary of habits and developing certain routines because I'm on their I'm on the map. They know who I am. They know what I was as of November of 2020. So from here on out, everything is growth and just
Mhm.
who I am. So at that point, I'm like, all right, James Ramsey got me to this point. It was fine. But I'm like, but now I'm going out into this thing and it's full blown. This is me, no holding back. So I'm like, as I make this personal transition, the business transition of establishing Zack Ramsey's was the next step. And so
Got you.
that's the
Thank you for
long
taking.
answer to your question.
No, no, no. I was just about to say thank you so much for taking for taking us, the fans, on this journey, because we see you at the merch table. You have your stuff out. You're doing your professional thing there. Intermission, pre-show, post-show, whatever the situation may be.
Yep.
We may have a minute or two. We may chit chat, but it's kind of in the vein of the performance right now.
Yep.
We, as fans, would never hear this journey that you just spoke of standing at the merch table. So I cannot thank you enough for opening up a little bit and sharing with us, the fans. That's amazing. Now, we see you at the Test of Strength Dojo. They've been producing, molding really fine students over there.
Absolutely.
You were just talking about being trained by some great people and whatnot. Talk to us about where you trained at, because we were just speaking to one Bobby Buffet. He's the Monster Factory champion. So I don't know where you come from. So please indulge a little bit more information.
Absolutely. So I'm a Long Island guy. I trained at NYWC, the New York Wrestling Connection, long established school and promotion here in the New York area. Founded by Deer Park, New York. Yes,
I've been there one time, my man.
Yeah, it's a great facility to train, learn, and to get experience in. It was established by Mikey Whipwreck back in the day, and great lineage of guys have come from there. Many very successful guys right now. Matt Cardona, Brian Myers, John Silver, Tony Nese, Trent Beretta. The list goes on. Willow Nightingale. Lots of really talented performers have come from the NYWC background. When I started training there, the trainers were Bull James, formerly Bull Dempsey from NXT, Rex Lawless, a well-known wrestler on the independent scene here, and Michael Mistretta, who is a local independent wrestler as well, who is very, very talented, great talker. You talk about a guy who knows his personality and knows his character inside forward. Michael Mistretta for you.
Yeah, Mistretta, yes.
Yes. So those three guys were the trainers when I started. I got to learn a lot from each of them. I was fortunate learning from Rex and Bull, both being big guys, able to really show me a lot about how to work as a big man. And Michael taught me a lot in so many fine capacities about character and presentation and movement. And that guy, he spent a lot of long hours of me coming in early, staying late. He really invested a lot in teaching me, and he's still all great guys. Rex and Michael are still training at the sportatorium there, along with Dickie Rods, another long standing name in the New York scene and from NYWC. Those three guys train there now. But at the beginning there was those three, and fortunate to the connections NYWC has. I've learned from a lot of other talented guys who've come in from either just to pop in on training or from seminars, from guys like Matt Stryker to Jerry Lynn to Nice, Connor and Victor of the Ascension, Mike Mondo, and the Glacier. The list goes on and on. I can't even remember offhand how many guys I've had the opportunity to just pick the minds of and learn from over my time associated with them. And so again, a great facility, and fortunately there's several very good training facilities from New York City on out to the island, House Glory, Cap, et cetera, et cetera. Lots of really great places to learn. NYWC is definitely one of the great places you can go, though.
Again, thank you for sharing that information. Again, you never know. I've always been told you never know who's watching. Even though if there's not a reaction, a click, a like, a share, a comment, a response, anything, does not mean multiple people have not seen this. So this information that I try to bring up on the show it's yes to get to know the talent more, but then we talk about the promotions, we talk about the training facilities, the trainers.
Yeah.
So maybe if there is an aspiring wrestler, he could check out said name of trainer, said
Yeah.
name of promotion or facility.
Absolutely.
So that's why we like to speak upon these topics. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, no doubt.
And I like how you were speaking on the Bull James and the Rex Lawless, because Rex Lawless is now he's taller than Bull James,
Yes,
if I'm not mistaken.
correct.
So.
Sounds about right.
Yeah, but not to take away from Bull James because of his stature.
Yeah.
But you have two guys, one a little more established, being through the NXT ranks there, and still doing the indie scene. I mean, he's very active.
Yeah.
And then you have Rex Lawless, like you said, very established on the indie scene.
Yep.
He's always been this close, my man. Always been just this close.
Yeah. Really great talent who anyone who gets the opportunity to work with him, see him, or have him into their company is more than fortunate. He's had a lot of good successes here working with Beyond, especially with the Wrestling Open and whatnot. He had some opportunities with AEW with Dark in the last year or so. He's an absolute talent and just an absolute gem of a human. Really a great guy that you will always be happy to share a locker room with.
And this is why we speak upon these things, because some guys or girls, maybe they have seen a wrestling school, but it's 2 hours away from them.
Mm-hmm.
But then we might speak upon the NYC. That might be only a half hour, 45 minutes away from them. So you never know these connections when we speak on these topics. But my point being, with the Bull James and Rex Lawless, good minds to pick from, though, as big guys. Yeah. Because you're only 3 years deep. If we're talking, you're only 3 years deep, my man. You talk very well. You talk very professional. And you talk smart, like you've been in the business a tad longer than 3 years, if I might say, because of the minds that you have been taught by. I hear, again, with me as a fan and an old school guy, because I'm the AWA, the WCCW. That was me growing up. I like, obviously we harp upon the storytelling, but the psychology. Without the psychology, we don't get the storytelling.
Yep.
And you seem to have that, and I feel just a lot of what you've gained from NYC over there is just absolutely amazing.
Well, Bull said it early on in my learning, and I tend to agree. It's like, you can be a star in a lot of places, but he goes, you learn how to work as a wrestler on the independent scene and at the ground level. You have to learn how to build a story and go from there. And he was absolutely right. And that's, and especially in my time in the last year or so, really going out on the independent scene and working with people of different backgrounds and different cultures and different states up and down the East Coast and whatnot. I've really expanded my ability and my repertoire, because you have to adapt and grow and appreciate and meet in the middle with so many different people that you take that good establishment and you build on there from what other people do and what other people feel, and you learn where to draw the line, and you learn where to open up and accept, and that's very important, and it's what makes a well-rounded individual in any walk of life, but wrestling, of course, specifically.
Yeah, no, I absolutely. Again, well said. I want to talk about the live TV setting, but just not in the ring. When we as fans, we go there, we are the live studio audience. And yes, there may be a hard cam set up. Yes, there may be a guy doing mobile cam around. And I get those media aspects of it. And that's where we find, even if there are no cameras, it's still a live TV setting, because you're having to perform live in front of people every single time and have to, have to be perfect, because obviously there are mistakes. I never use the B word. I hate using the B word, the old botch bullshit. I hate that. The mistakes come. It is what it is. And I've never been a fan to be like, oh, blah, 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 you fucked up, that guy fucking sucks. Never my cup of tea. But my whole point being is, not just in the ring is it live TV, because once we go for intermission, it's usually, anywhere between 15 and 30 minutes.
Yep.
That's really the time that we kind of connect a little more.
Yep.
We get to meet you for the first time, maybe get to speak with you a little bit. We might buy a sticker or a magnet or a pen or a t-shirt or whatever you guys and girls are hosting over there for your merch. But not only that, it's almost like the live TV setting is still rolling, because I give you a perfect example. SGW, it was the premiere for Sacrifice for Glory Wrestling in Bridgeport, Connecticut. Mr. Ramsey's on the bill. We are at intermission. And during intermission and pre-show and post-show, I'm a jackass with my camera, and I walk around with my phone, and I just do promos with some of the talent, or I just kind of yam around a little bit, and we kind of see who we see for talent as we just walk around the venue. And I come to Mr. Zack Ramsey's table, and I'm just like, yeah, blah, 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 this and that, Zack. Oh, hey, it's Mr. Zack Ramsey. And you're like, oh, you want to come over to my bubble and disrespect me, you little piece of crap? The ad-libbing, the on-the-fly dance, still with the fan and the wrestler. My man, I just love all of that. And you seem quick-witted. You're clever. You know, we do that stuff.
Yeah.
You're one of those guys that kind of enjoy and soak all of that in. And I know we kind of circle back to the fan wrestler, but it all stems to what it obviously stems to professionalism. That's obviously right off the ripper. But it just doesn't always have to be in the ring. And I know we've spoken out of the ring and on the face page and stuff, but doing the ad-libbing vocally, the facials, my man in the facials, all of these little intricate things, still staying true to what you were doing in the ring, taking it out of there, going to the merch table, and doing that dance still with the fans. Again, my hat's off to you. Only 3 years deep. I feel personally that Mr. Ramsey's got a bright future, because you seem to have a grasp on many of the tools that we speak of that bring that toolbox together to become a wrestler. And I feel, again, you know, because that's just me, because I don't know you very well. Do you feel you're in a good spot right now professionally?
Absolutely. I'm never satisfied with where I am. It's how I function. I'm a very strong competitor by nature in everything I do. I always want to be the best at the top, and you know, that's just how I function. And so, am I where I want to be? No. Do I have to get better in a lot of capacities? Absolutely. I can take me all night to go through how all the things I need to continue to improve. But with that said, for me, I am very I'm happy with the momentum I currently have. I'm happy with the progress I've made, and even just a year in the sense of, you know, during COVID, I was unsure how to navigate going into the indie scene because of natural reasons. Yeah, you know, trying to figure out how to navigate through the virus and whatnot, and you know, take care of my family accordingly and all that type of stuff, be respectful and all those things. And so I didn't really start getting back onto the indie scene in post COVID per se until May of last year. And again, that was the first time I Zack Ramsey's on the indie scene. And so in less than a year's time, I've established a brand, and I have, you know, I've worked with numerous companies from Maine down to North Carolina, out to West Virginia, and Pittsburgh, and out east on the island, and everything in between. You know, I've built a repertoire, and furthering my in-ring ability, furthering my character, furthering my connections, and just learning and having fun, and you know, loving being in the business and being part of such a fantastic sport. And so all the progress I have made in that time, I'm happy with, and I continue to see the fruits of my labor. But I'll never be happy until I'm on top. And to that,
there's still more work to be done.
absolutely.
There's always more work to be done.
Absolutely. And you know, and you know, my personal goals have always been to wrestle in Japan, whether that's for New Japan Pro Wrestling, All Japan Pro Wrestling, Dragon, whatever, DDT, whomever that may end up being. That's always been my primary goal. that I aspired for most of all. Obviously, that said, to perform in any major American company between WWE, AEW, Impact, Ring of Honor, again now fortunately on the table, MLW, NWA, whomever it may be. That's all stuff. Obviously, I would be thrilled with, and I would chomp at the bit for the opportunity for that as well. So those are all obviously the bigger goals, the primary objectives. But I love the opportunity of working in a new place. I'm in May. I've got one new company I'm working for. In June, I've got two new companies I'm working for. Constantly working in new places with new people, reaching new fans, having new experiences, experiencing different styles, different approaches to this great sport. I love that. I love the opportunity to take that next step and work with the Northeast Wrestlings and the Limitless Wrestlings and those next level of indie wrestling. I love the opportunity to try to get to that stage. There's always checkpoints and there's always smaller goals underneath the larger goals that I have, and I will always continue to pursue with excitement and vigor, because if you don't know where you want to get to and you don't know the steps along the way you need to hit in order to get there, I think you get lost. And it's not to undermine those individual steps, because those are all things that people are fortunate to do alone. Again, I spoke of Dickie Rods earlier, one of the current NYWC trainers. He once said, it's like, if your goal was to become a professional wrestler, the second you have a match on a show in front of fans the first time, you did that. And he goes, never underestimate how special and important that is, because you got to do this. And not everyone gets to do this, not everyone can do this. So the fact that you do that, that's an accomplishment. Every step from there is another accomplishment that needs to be respected and appreciated. And so I appreciate every step along the way. I appreciate every interaction and opportunity I get to speak with someone like you. That's all invaluable and special to me. One day I'll look back on my career, and no matter how far I go, these moments and these opportunities are all not to be taken for granted and can be gone in an instant, whether that's to health reasons or anything in between. You never know how this sport will treat you. And so I appreciate everything I'm doing. And so I got places I want to be. I have places I want to continue to work to. But the job's never done, and I've always got a lot to work to continue to get to that point. To answer your initial question.
No. I love the just kind of going on, because if I wrote questions, what's your favorite match? What was your first match? What was your first gimmick? I can't do that. We wouldn't be able to have this beautiful conversation, Mr. Ramses. I just want to circle back to the seminars real quick, and we don't have to go into detail or anything. I just want to get your perspective and your insight, since you have been to some of these seminars. I've been to 3, I believe. For an aspiring wrestler, or for an active young wrestler, or even for a guy who's been in the business for 5, 6, 7 years, what do seminars do for a wrestler?
It depends on who's teaching them, of course, but in general, a good seminar is going to give you insight and perspective into the regularities of wrestling that you don't think twice about, or that you just kind of go through the motions on. That to me, that's the big takeaways from a seminar, where you're not going to go to a seminar and relearn how to wrestle. You're not going to relearn how to cut a promo. You're not going to relearn. That's not going to happen, because that's not a seminar. It's just called wrestling school. That's called just and not nothing wrong with that. You need to go and relearn how to do everything. And that, depends on where you're going and where you've been. But to me, a good seminar, if I can come out of a seminar with 1, 2, 3 things, if I'm lucky, that I'm like, never thought of it this way, that's new to me. This is something that can help me build build upon what I already have. That's huge. And if nothing else, even if you don't take anything massively away, you can apply to your craft, which would be bizarre if it's a good seminar. But if that was to happen, if nothing else, establishing a connection with someone who is established in this business is an absolute win. The most recent one I did was with the man known as Glacier, formerly from WCW. He's one of the current co-coaches at the Nightmare Factory, along with Cody Rhodes and QT Marshall. Invaluable information I received from him. His name's Ray. And really a fantastic human being. And most of it was just talking. We were in the ring very briefly doing some physical things, which was great. I got some good stuff out of that too. But the way he talked about just every aspect of how you present yourself as a performer, how you present your character, and how you're able to verbalize what your character is, I'm like, this is some fantastic, insightful stuff from a guy who's been in this business longer than I've been alive. So let me take everything I can get from him and we'll just learn. And I did. And so, and I've applied several things that he's done. He told us that night. And I've been fortunate to remain in contact with him and continue to talk to him and get feedback on, hey, I applied what you said here. What do you think about this? Or how do you think I could tweak this now based upon what you said? To me, if you're able to do any of that, massive. Any little step is another step towards continuing to expand upon who you are.
And it's all to hone your craft and get to this, this platform to where you can make a living for yourself, your family, your loved ones. That's a whole, and not everybody is in to get to said plateau, but I mean, on most counts, that's what, the wrestlers strive to. So invaluable information for normally about $20-$30 a seminar. Is that correct?
Yeah, I mean, listen, sometimes you're going to get a little pricier, and you have to gauge whether you think this person you think you'll get $75 worth from them, and that's a hard bargain to drive sometimes. I've seen some really big names who charge a lot of money. It's like, can I get $80 out of you? I don't know. Sometimes you will. Sometimes you won't. It's a gamble, but to me, more often than not, I'm going to say that if I want to invest in myself, I want to invest in this business. If it's a guy who's had any level of major success here, I'll probably get something out of this. And so, hey, I won't grab lunch this week. I won't buy a Bang Energy while I'm driving home from the show this Saturday. I'll recoup that money along the way. You got to invest in yourself. You got to invest in your craft if you want to grow.
Yes. Again, well said. I just wanted to point out the seminars because I see that some of the talent go to it and not all of the talents go to it. And I'm like, dude, if I was a talent, and I know it's not like I got a bag full of money over to my left, but like you're saying, if I can, son of a bitch, I want to go check out said established guy who's been in the fucking business for 30 years, we'll say, or maybe even 40 or even 20 or what have you. You're investing in yourself, you're investing in your future, kind of thing. I mean, there's many aspects on to what the seminars could provide, especially with that invaluable information. And not every single one you come up with something that kind of maybe ups you a little bit. Maybe it could be stuck in your head. It could be something physical that you might change. It could be something that he spoke about, a diet. You never know what you could take away from a seminar. So that's why I kind of spoke upon that. You've been kind of really doing your thing for this past year pretty solid. You're Zack Ramses, and you're doing this thing. It's seeming to be working out fairly well at this point. Do you have, because there's already been an evolution. We always talk about evolution on this show. There's already been an evolution of one Zack Ramses. True. And I called you Jason earlier, and it's James. I apologize for that. Is there a set goal? Because some of the athletes that I've spoke with, they have maybe 5 years or 3 years. If I'm really not feeling said character or said what I'm doing, I kind of have a plan that I've got gear already ready. I've got a name ready. I have an attitude ready. I have maybe a persona all set for kind of a backup plan for what I'm doing now if I'm not really digging it, to see how long this said character can take me. Do you have any kind of thing set like that, or are you just kind of taking Zack Ramses to see where you can run with this? Because you're making it, like you said, the nature boy. You want to make it the
Miasma, however you want to say it.
Miasma, son of a biscuit. I thought I had it.
So to that question, I don't have a predetermined plan for the Miasma Zack Ramses in the sense that, uh, to me, as having a time frame sets an expectation of failure. In my view, I'm going to continue as I'm going. And along even in the last year, I've made tweaks and updates, and hey, I could change how I do that, and it still works within the character. You're constantly changing. The second you stop evolving is the second you start dying. You constantly have to be able to be open to making shifts and alterations. But I don't have any plans to make a complete overhaul. If a time comes where I'm like, you know what, I either this doesn't quite work to me, or more likely, knowing myself, wow, I've got an idea for something that I think will really knock me out of the park, then I'll make that jump. I'm not afraid to make a change.
Okay.
I have to be inspired. There has to be a reason.
Mm.
Um, feeling like the character's stale or the character's not working. Personally, I don't feel that way as is currently where I am. But if I did get to that point, I would try something to mix it up and to bring life to the character before I would throw it all away necessarily. Which is again, that's just my take. Some people, the complete revamp gives them life and gives them juice, and that's fair. But for me, I just I invested and I between time, money, and energy into the Miasma character. I'm not going to put that to the side unless something that I think will yield better results comes to my mind that makes it worth it.
Um, do you watch the current product of what's going on right now? Not all athletes do. Some stay fans to where they can't miss a Monday Night Raw and a Tuesday NXT and such.
Yeah.
Are you watching the current product, and which ones are you watching?
So personally, I do watch the current product. To me, in any pursuits in your life, I don't know how you can be expected to succeed without being in touch with what's currently working. Yeah, again, in football, I don't know how would I be able to be the best offensive tackle I could if I didn't know what the best offensive tackles currently are doing. In the
Mm,
same way where I'm not going to do everything that the top stars in AEW and WWE and New Japan are doing right now, but
right.
I can see how Chris Jericho is carrying himself as a character, and I can see how Tomohiro Ishii is working in the ring, and what new elements Shingo Takagi is bringing to his game, or what mentality Cody Rhodes has jumping to WWE. So if I'm not paying attention to that, these guys are at the top of the game. I gotta learn from them. It's the same thing. Why am I gonna go to a seminar but then not pay attention to the guys who are currently succeeding? Because guys with information from the past are invaluable, and lots of guys who do seminars are also current wrestlers. But I'm like, I'm gonna listen to the past. I have to have a finger on the pulse. Otherwise,
Yeah.
you know, knowing what worked in 1970 is great because what's old is new again, and you can really
Mhm.
invigorate what you're doing through that. But I got to know what's up. A, not to duplicate, to be original. Because if I know everyone's doing X moves or X character traits or a certain visual style, if everyone's doing that, I don't want to do it because I don't want to be a copycat. But also, I
Right.
want to know, well, hey, you know what? The way Okada, the way he paces himself in the ring, this guy is the best out there right now. So if I can learn from him, I'll probably be okay. So to me, it's a fool's errand not to pay attention. That
Mhm.
said, I have a busy life. I can't. I don't have the opportunity to sit and watch every major wrestling show every week. But unfortunately, I have a lot of good friends that are big wrestling fans as well. So, most Wednesdays we'll watch Dynamite. We'll try to watch Monday Night Raw. We'll watch most big pay per views together.
Yeah.
I'm in the loop, and if I'm not watching, I'm up to date, going back and checking stuff out while still being aware of the past and trying to I've been on a big Takayama kick lately, watching a lot of this stuff from Noah. Like I'm constantly trying
Okay.
to learn and be aware of what's happening, what works, what did work, what doesn't work, what should work, what could work. That's to me, that's being part of a living, breathing business like wrestling.
Do you watch your footage?
Yes,
Look back.
yes. To me, it's again maybe this is because of my background as an athlete. I get a lot of people say they don't like watching themselves. They feel uncomfortable. They feel embarrassed. Fair. To me, I will never understand not watching yourself, because how do you critique yourself and grow otherwise? Because again, I speak as a former college football player. We filmed every practice, every game, every scrimmage, everything you ever did was filmed, and we would watch all that film in meetings every day, so you can see, hey, you know what, that bucket step you took there on outside zone, you're not stepping back enough, and your hand placement isn't quite on the outside armpit, so you're not getting the proper angle when you're accelerating through. That's why you're not getting the cutoff there. If someone tells me that, oh, okay, got it. Seeing it and then seeing a week later, hey, you know what? That stuff's a little deeper. Hand placement still isn't quite right. All right, well, okay, I know I got the foot there. Let me work on my hands this week. Now, seeing is making that change, making that adjustment, and growing. And it's the same thing in the ring. If someone's telling me that, I'm not getting full range of motion on a butterfly suplex or something, or hey, you know what? I think the way you're holding your body in between moves, I think it looks a little awkward. How am I supposed to internalize that and better myself if I don't see it? To me, it's never made sense. And again, each their own. But from where I stand, and the only perspective I can speak to is my own, I have to watch everything I do to grow. And so, every show I go to, I bring my tripod, I set up my phone, I find a spot to set it up so I can film it, and I'll watch it back after. And if nothing else, I can watch, learn, hear the reactions, hear what people react to and what people don't. But when you're in the ring, you don't always. Sometimes you recognize a pop or something. Sometimes you don't. So that back is important to know what people actually liked or reacted to. And again, sometimes, hey, I can take that footage too. I can clip up. I can throw on Instagram. Great. Now I got extra footage, extra content. And that's a plus too. But I gotta see what I did to know what to do again and what to not do.
We've talked all vital things. I feel the same way with that. Being in the band, I wanted to be able to check out what our setup was, because I'm the guy who's setting up the sound on the fly while I'm jamming the guitar. I'm going out wirelessly, doing sound and trying to do the whole thing and whatnot. So I would want footage to see, hey man, I know it's not going to come out this way all the time, but we got to figure a way to make that song sound like that all the time. Yeah. But the topic I did want to speak upon is, you said something very, very vital, and I've only spoken about this a few times on the show. When we as fans, boys and girls, are out there booing and cheering and saying whatever we're saying, and we could be saying something from minute none to minute one to minute none, but they don't hear all of it. I mean, obviously we do, because we're the ones saying it, or maybe some of the fans that we've met or having fun with the show, they're having fun with that as well. But that doesn't mean that Mr. Ramses is hearing that.
Yeah.
Talk to us about, it's almost, and I don't want to use like a blackout or anything like that, but there are times where you just don't hear shit. You're like so in the moment, or you're in the zone, or however you want to perceive it. You do hear some of what we say. You do react to some of what we say, but you got to like you said, I got to listen back. Listen back. I can't just watch back. I got to listen back as well.
Yeah. To me, it's times where you're saying what you're doing, or you're thinking, where am I going next? And that's the nature of the beast. It's going to happen at times, and so you might not hear certain things, but that reaction that you're not locked in on could be something that you're like, oh shit, people really felt something there. What did I do? What happened that made them feel that way? And so, being able to have the footage to hear that back is important, but that's also our job to be in tune with fans, because, if in the moment I hear that, I'm like, maybe I should do it again, or maybe we'll circle back to that, or hey, next time I'm here, they bid on that this time. Let me go back.
Yeah.
You expand your game by hearing the fans, because you got one reason, that's to enjoy yourselves, and you're not gonna create a reaction if you don't feel it, because you're not compelled to do that. You can do whatever the hell you want. So you're there on your own volition, saying something, doing something, not paying attention to something, getting up and walking away. Why? What is that? How does that impact what I do? Very much so. It does impact, but I need to be aware of what was it to the best of my ability, so I can either replicate or delete. Yeah, Matt already.
uh, Boys and girls, we started with the connection with us, the fans, and them, the talent. Here we are, an hour, 25 minutes later, and we have circled back to that connection. And I get hairs just, dude, it comes back from the title of this, an enthusiastic passion for the art. And it's the same on our side when we really, those fans that just love wrestling, we just love wrestling as much as you guys and girls do, because you were fans before you became the personification of a wrestler.
Absolutely.
So I mean, this whole conversation and in between has been absolutely amazing. Mr. Ramsey shared way more than I ever expected, boys and girls. I thought he was going to hang up on me about 17 minutes deep. But man, I asked all the right questions and I said all the right, and I put him over a couple times. I think that's what really got us. Mr. Ramses, before I do let you go, I usually do two things. I usually try to pull a little road story from the boys and girls, because you guys and girls do the drives. You're going to so many different states and so many different areas, but you're at about a year's. We're just going to call it, from with Zack Ramses himself.
Yeah,
we're going to call that about a year solid right now. And I don't want a road story out of you yet. I want to bring you back on because I know my man's got some fucking good times ahead of him.
Oh yes. Oh yes.
And I want you to share maybe more than one. So we're gonna have a return, hopefully, of one Mr. Ramses in the future, and see where he's at. So that's usually the one of the two things. Then the second thing is when we pull out of here, is we have to get all of those vital details, the Twitter, the Instagram, the Pornhub, whatever you've got. I'm sorry about that. But hit us with it.
That's the wave.
Because as we've spoken, without the medias, we can't make those connections. So give us all the details, my man.
So you can find me on most major social media platforms: Twitter, Instagram at Zack Ramses. Again, that's ZAKK, two Ks, RAMSES. Facebook, it's the Miasma Zack Ramses. It's the full title. So again, Miasma is MIASMA. So the Miasma Zack Ramses. On YouTube, the channel is the Miasma Citadel. All this stuff. If you find one of my social media, you'll find them all. The header picture for one of them, I have everything listed there, so everything's very readily accessible. All four of those. One of my good buddies keeps telling me, he's like, "You gotta get on TikTok. Everyone's on TikTok." I'm like, I probably should, just because again, more ways to connect with people. So I probably should do that. I haven't done that yet, but yeah, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. Let's say Facebook, Instagram, social, YouTube, whatever. Those four. Those are the main ways to get me. Give me a follow, give me a shout. I like to be pretty accessible on there. If you want to shoot me a message, I try to be responsive. Unfortunately, as a 21st century millennial boy here, I've always got my phone. And in the wrestling business, you're always on your phone trying to connect and get bookings and this and that. So I will more likely not receive your message. Sometimes it might get lost in the shuffle, but if anything, I will get back to you at some point. I'm happy to have conversation with fans because that, again, awesome. You guys supporting me, who am I? I'm a guy who wants to be a wrestler. I am successful. I have fun and I grow because of the reactions and the support of fans, fortunately, all across the country. And so, I appreciate all that. And I'm always happy to hear any thoughts, both positive and negative. If you're like, you know what, I think your gear looks like the shit. See what? I might not agree with you. I might say like, what, fuck this guy. I might say in my head, but to the point, how am I supposed to know what I'm doing works or doesn't work if people only say, wow, you're so great? Because you never grow off of just being told you're great. I believe it was actually the late great Paul Bearer, uh, he said once that it is better to be, I don't want to misquote if I'm going to here, it is better to be built with criticism than showered with rainbows. And to me, that's the truth, because it's, you only get better from things that you can alter and grow off of. So definitely, to the point, reach out to me on social media, give me a follow. And I post my promos every week where I'm coming out to a place. You'll know if I'm going to come into a town near you. Come give me a look. As Mr. Kincaid here can attest to, we tend to have a good time. So
Yes, yes, we absolutely do. What a fine way to end such a great conversation, boys and girls. Man, I love talking to the talent. We would never get these conversations, these stories, these memories, uh, the growings, the evolutions, all of this. We would never hear this stuff at the events like we do, hanging out, sitting down, taking just a little bit of time and having some fun with our talent. Ah, Mr. Zack Ramses, I cannot thank you enough for spending the time with us tonight. I appreciate you, sir.
well, I thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak with you and to speak to your fan base. But also, just in general, I applaud you for giving talent such as myself the window to speak to the fans and speak to just people who love wrestling. Because to the point, it's hard to convey the passion sometimes when you're out there, you're doing your thing. So to get the opportunity to share with people how important wrestling is to me and to so many other performers out there, I thank you for that opportunity, and you do a service by providing this stage for us.
Aw. The love, boys and girls, the love. This is what we do. I love this. And I'm going to get this right because we love Mr. Zack Ramses. This is Stir the Pot with Don Kincaid and my very special guest, the Miasma, Zack Ramses.
You got it, Peter. You got it.
Yes.